Thank you. I want to welcome everybody here for the special meeting, February 2nd of 2026. We want to welcome our legal counsel, where we're going to discuss the recent lawsuit and hopefully a resolution to it. But I want to welcome all of you who are remote. I hope your families are safe and not buried in snow. And, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to legal. And
So you need to go ahead and
oh,
authorize remote participation first.
okay. I saw that in the regular meeting. You're right. So we'll make a motion to consider allowing remote participation in this meeting. Will someone make a motion for that?
So moved.
Okay.
Angel,
All those opposed? All those for? Okay. Passes.
all right, now you need to adopt your agenda.
All right. Somebody want to make a motion to adopt the minutes, or excuse me, the agenda?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, also passes.
And you now do your policy.
Policy.
So I'll mention real fast the next item on the agenda, rules of procedure changes, namely to allow remote participation in closed session and to restrict voting for remote participants. And I can kind of turn it over to Chaplin. I thought he was on the line. Is Chaplin not on the line? I'm not seeing him.
He was here a minute ago. Looks like he might have dropped off. If he comes on, I can.
Okay. I might just weigh in to Councilmember Eck to help me out on this one, because he has a little bit of background. We were going back and forth on this the last couple of days. There's some information in your agenda packet for some recommendations on those changes. Chaplin is not recommending to allow voting for remote participation. And Councilman Eck, I don't know if you have any comments on that, but we're recommending to approve the changes as presented to restrict remote voting and to allow the remote participation in closed sessions.
Yeah, essentially, just to kind of restate what Christina said, the current policy doesn't allow remote participation in closed sessions. And so this policy will allow remote participation in closed sessions, even though I don't think this counts as remote participation since we're on Zoom. But for future meetings, it would allow anybody who's attending remotely to participate in executive sessions. However, you would not be allowed to vote. And Spencer could probably give you more details on that, but that's more of a statutory case law thing. There are some cases out there recently that said that voting remotely doesn't count. So we wanted to make sure we didn't run afoul of that. Not that I'm anybody's lawyer, but that's my understanding of what the proposal is.
Just to clarify, so is that just applying to closed sessions, or does that apply to remote participation in general sessions?
It would be if Chaplin joined, but it was just to allow remote participation because one could already participate remotely in regular session. So
yeah,
you still can't vote in either.
Gotcha.
He just texted me and said that Zoom kicked him out. He's trying to log back in. So, but he's correct. There is Chaplin. I see you chiming in or see you weighing in. We're kind of talking about the policy and the changes that are being recommended. I think Councilmember Eck and I kind of summarized that the changes include to allow remote participation in closed session and to restrict voting for all remote participation.
That is correct. And there are several different alternatives, but that's the most straightforward and the least likely to have any potential challenges.
So unless y'all have any other questions, comments, or concerns, we're just asking for approval on those changes as presented and recommended by legal counsel.
I've got a quick question. Who's the resident participant on this call?
So we are not in closed session yet. The public is allowed to be here right now.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Mhm.
So do we need to go ahead and vote or make a motion to vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Will someone put a motion on the table to adopt the amended remote participation policy, please?
So moved.
All those for?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And the motion passes.
So now we will move into the closed session, and per Austin's instructions, he'll break us out into a breakout room, and we'll kind of go in there, and then the resident will just wait into the lobby, so to say.
So someone will need to make the motion.
Motion to go into closed session.
So
And-
it's
All those for?
Wait.
hold on.
In 1 second?
Wait. I think Austin's going to start.
Mr. Mayor, we have to read the entire motion here. We can't just keep it
Beg your
general.
pardon.
We have to say to recess into closed session per NCGS 143-318.11A3 to consult with an attorney to preserve attorney-client privilege and to give instructions regarding Chris/Victoria Comiskey, v. Village of Marvin, and Kim Vandenberg, 25 CV 0004445-890 and 3:25-CV-00087-FDW-DCK.
So moved.
All those for?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And the motion passes. Thank you.
All right, so give me 1 second, switch over to closed session here, and we're gonna pray this works. Okay, so hold on. Some of y'all didn't join through the link, so it didn't pull you in. So I've got to add y'all in. Just give me 1 second to make this work here. All right, I think I have everyone. So I'm going to open the room. So just make sure y'all click the join button.
Okay. Let's see how that works.
Has everybody made it?
I think so.
There we go.
We motion for a 5-minute recess.
So moved.
Austin, you're on mute.
All those for?
Aye.
Hold on.
We
Hold on.
need to
No, we're
return
not.
to open session, correct?
So we've already came back to open session. You guys don't need to recess. You guys need to adjourn the special meeting, and then we can just take a break in 5 minutes and come back to the regular meeting.
Okay.
Sounds good. Someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. See you in 5 minutes. Okay. We have everybody in the room yet?
The closed session room was closed. Everyone got kicked out of there. I see everyone. I don't see Angel. I don't know if she dropped off the call, but she should be able to rejoin with the same
Okay.
information.
Okay.
But you are good to start whenever you like your
Okay.
good to call to
Great.
order.
I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is 6:10 p.m. Monday, February 2nd for the Village Council regular meeting. The next item up is to consider allowing remote participation. Would someone like to make a motion for that?
Motion to allow remote participation.
All those for?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passes. The adoption of the agenda. Let's get a motion on the table for that.
So quick note here. We did table the presentation from Rachel Holzman, Union County Economic Development. Union County closed operations today, so she'll be at our 216 work session. So we've tabled that. And then for the resolution on the civility resolution, you guys will do the signing ceremony at your work session. So that'll just be the considering adoption of that resolution.
Consider
Okay.
adoption of resolution pledging to practice and promote civility in the Village of Marvin.
You got it.
All those
See-
for?
Aye.
You read the motion, Fred?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, I think we still need to adopt the agenda first.
They just did that.
Oh, and the previous.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing right now. Agenda.
Yeah. So Fred just read the motion. Anybody want a second?
So moved.
All those for?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Part D, the adoption of the previous minutes. Goal is to adopt the minutes from the January 5th, 2026 regular meeting and the January 14th, 2026 retreat as presented.
Move
So
to
moved.
approve.
All those for?
Aye.
Aye.
And all those against? Okay, the adoption passes. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Hopefully y'all got a flag handy. I'll start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of
United
America.
States of America.
and to the
And to the
republic
To the republic
for which it
stands
stands,
one
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 nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty and
justice for
justice
all.
for all.
Great. Okay. Public comment period. Austin, take it away.
All right. So the way this is going to work is we're going to use the raise your hand feature. I'm going to call on you individually and then allow you to unmute. You'll have 3 minutes. Let me get that timer ready. And we will begin. Okay. Apologies. All right. First hand I see is Kim Vandenberg. Kim, I'm going to allow you to unmute now, and you'll have 3 minutes. Just state your address.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, perfect.
Okay. Kim Vandenberg, 806 Cappington Lane. I want to address remarks recently captured on a hot microphone in which the mayor and a resident were discussing disavowing the previous council and reference my family by name. Let's be precise about language. To disavow means to deny responsibility for, reject, or repudiate association. It is an act of separation. To unify means to bring people together, to heal divisions, and to lead with respect, especially after an election. So the question is simple and really unavoidable. How does repudiating prior elected officials or singling out residents by name unify this village? What makes this more troubling is that it does not appear to be an isolated remark, but part of a broader pattern. Newly elected council member Tom X stated on the Marvin United website that the previous council should not blame other previous councils. Yet now we hear talk of disavowing the same prior council. These positions cannot coexist. You cannot claim the moral high ground of unity while distancing yourselves, publicly or privately, from those who served before you. Leadership is not defined only by prepared remarks at a podium or from behind the dais. It's also revealed in unguarded moments. This was a clear leadership test. The mayor had an opportunity to set a tone of continuity, respect, and unity. Instead, he participated in a conversation that reinforced division and dismissal. And this behavior extends beyond rhetoric. Marvin United, in particular, Tom Eck, laughed at a resident who raised legitimate concerns about quorum and the lack of proper quorum notification. Quorum is not a joke. It's a foundational requirement of lawful and transparent governance. When residents raise procedural concerns, they deserve answers, not mockery. Beyond the hot mic marks, this council must also decide how it intends to respond to previous public comments that were already entered in the public record. Silence is not neutrality. Failing to address these statements leaves residents to conclude they're either endorsed, excused, or dismissed as inconsequential. None of these outcomes foster trust. If the council believes these comments were inappropriate, misleading, or inconsistent with its stated commitment to unity, then they should say so clearly and publicly. If it stands by, then residents deserve that clarity as well. Leadership requires more than moving forward. It requires accountability for what has already been said. The resident who engaged with the mayor on the hot mic moment tried to defend it by saying, well, that's what corporations do when there is new leadership. In professional organizations, new leadership does not repudiate outgoing leadership to legitimize itself. Institutions value continuity, institutional memory, and stability. Public bodies, especially when branding itself is unified, should be held to no lesser standard. Unity is not achieved through ridicule, dismissal, or trying to rewrite history. Unity begins with respect for prior service, respect for residents who asked difficult questions, and respect for rules that govern this body. If the council truly intends to unify the Village of Marvin, it must align its words with its actions and lead with humility and not contempt. Thank you.
That is time. Oh, thank you. Okay. If anyone else would like to speak, please use the raise your hand feature. Otherwise, we will move on. Looking for hands. Going once. Going twice. I do not see anyone else. Mr. Mayor, you're good to proceed. Oh, I'm sorry, you're muted. Hold on.
Okay, there we go. So we're going to move into the presentations. The first one is G1, recognition of Finance Director Jill Carilli's achieving her Certified Local Government Finance Officer, CLGFO designation. Jill,
I'll take that.
Away.
I'll take that over, Mr. Mayor. Can y'all hear me?
Great. Oh, thank you, Christina.
So earlier this month, the village received welcoming news from the North Carolina Finance Officer Certification Program, which is a professional credential administered by the North Carolina Government Finance Officers Association. After completing a rigorous application and review process, Finance Director Jill Carilli has officially earned her Certified Local Government Finance Officer certification. We wanted to congratulate her in these efforts and to let you guys know that this certification requires a high standard of knowledge, experience, and commitment to excellence in public finance. This credential is awarded for a 5-year term and requires ongoing completion of at least 100 hours of professional training to maintain. Jill will be formally recognized for her accomplishment at the NCGFOA Spring Conference in Pinehurst this February. Achieving this milestone reflects continuing dedication to sound financial management and professional development in service to the community. And we congratulate Jill and applaud her for her efforts.
Way to go, Jill.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you so much. It's usually Austin who's getting all of the accolades, so it's nice to have a turn.
Great job, Jill.
Thank you.
Quick note to everyone, council staff, if anyone has any issues unmuting themselves, just raise your hand and I'll take care of it for you.
And you're okay to move on to presentation number 2, Mr. Mayor?
He can't talk yet.
Oh, hold on. I think I had to unmute him. Hold on.
Yes, of course we can move on. And Jill, I was trying to congratulate you, but I was muted. So nice job. Keep up the good work. We'll move on to G2 to consider the adoption. Let's see here. Consider the adoption of resolution to pledging to promote the practice of civility in the Village of Marvin. Having a tech issue here. Sorry, guys. So is everyone aware of what this is? This resolution.
So, Mr. Mayor, this is the resolution that you all would need to consider next to complete to make the Village of Marvin I believe it's a promote civility city, something along those lines. This is the follow-up to the training you all did a few weeks ago with the North Carolina League of Municipalities. If you all can approve this adoption at the next meeting, you'll all sign individual pledges, and then you will all sign on to the official resolution, and we will submit that to the league. And our city, I believe, the village will be recognized at the League of Municipality Conference City Vision for this year.
That's great. Someone want to make a motion?
Yeah, so I would say we'd like to adopt the resolution pledging to practice and promote civility in the Village of Marvin as presented.
Second.
Anybody second?
Yeah.
All those for?
Aye.
All
Aye.
those opposed? Great. Resolution passes. And congrats to everybody for wanting to do this. I think it's a great thing. It was one of the highlights of the retreat.
Joe, just so other council members know, I see some of you are on mute still, so you might not have been heard if you voted for it.
Yeah. Okay. The next thing we're going to cover is Section H, reports and updates. So the manager's report is first up. Christina.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. First and foremost, wanted to thank everyone for their patience and cooperation and understanding in the last couple of storm events that we've had. I'll speak to a lot of that in Public Works, but obviously, we've had 2 storm events the last couple of weeks, and the one that we're still in today, which is why we're in this virtual option. So I appreciate all the residents understanding during this process, and hopefully everyone's safe and warm at home. Secondly, wanted to let you all know that we did recently hire a planning technician and deputy clerk. His name is Lucas Holden. I know you all met him briefly at the retreat, but just wanted to reintroduce him for the public. He is a UNC Charlotte graduate, 2023, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Geography with a concentration in regional planning. From there, he moved to McCandless, Pennsylvania, and worked as an assistant planner. And prior to that, he assisted his advisor while in school for the Charlotte Corridors of Opportunity. And without further ado, I'll just turn it over real quickly to Hunter if he wants to say a couple of things, and just introduce you to Lucas. Thank you.
No, Christy. Yeah, everybody, welcome Lucas. We're excited to have him on. He's been a huge help so far. So excited that he's here. And Lucas, if there's anything you would like to add, I'll turn it over to you now.
You're muted.
There we go.
There you go.
Yes, honestly, Christina and Hunter summed it up pretty well, but I'm happy to be back down here in the Charlotte region, and I've already heard about a lot of the projects that are going on within the village, and I'm excited to be a part of them. And yes, looking forward to working with you all.
Great, thank you. Welcome, Lucas. All right. Next up, is that it for the manager's report? We move on to the clerk's report?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. Really briefly, at the retreat, you all asked me to look into off-site storage for permanent records. I emailed our clerk. I'm part of a listserv for all the municipal clerks in the state. Kind of a mixed bag from what I've seen. I can't remember which one of you asked, but it was asking about using possibly a service like Iron Mountain. With Iron Mountain specifically, some of the other clerks said that it was hard to retrieve their records because they could be stored across the country, and it can be an expensive process to retrieve those records, especially when they are stored far away. If we were to look at offsite record storage in the future, we may want to consider something more local and not such a large company where the records could be stored in a location that would be hard to access. We pretty regularly have to pull some historical records. I mean, not every day, but often enough to where it could make a difference. So that's just a little update for you all. No action needed right now, and we're still good on storage for years to come. And that's the only thing I have for my report.
Okay, great. H3, the planner's report. Hunter. You're on mute, sir. Still.
Yeah, no,
I think
all right, I'm just gonna leave it.
There you go. It's a common theme tonight. Everybody's on mute.
Yeah. Also, no. So just a few things I want to update you guys on. The first is that the community workshop for the comp plan was originally scheduled for last week. Then due to that storm, we moved it to tomorrow. Due to the lingering conditions, we are rescheduling that as well. So that new date for the community workshop for the comp plan will be Tuesday, February 17th, there at Village Hall. Same time, 4:30 to 6:30. So want to make sure that gets make sure that you guys are aware of that, as well as we're going to get some social media and stuff posted. Hopefully there's no pending weather storm for next week, so hopefully we'll have this date locked in. Second is that next week, been meaning to try to get you guys an email on this, but next week, Keith O'Haran, the Union County Urban Forester, is coming to Village Hall to meet with myself, and I know Angel from on February 9th. What was that, Tuesday, Monday, at 2 p.m. I want to just open this up to any other council members if they're wanting to attend. It's basically just to kind of go over what our tree regulations are regarding development, and just kind of talk through with him some recommendations and stuff that for our ordinance. I'm going to open that up. If anybody wants to attend, just let me know. Austin may just have to. We would like to keep it under quorum, but at the same time, I want to make sure that all of council who would like to attend is welcome to. And if we have to do a potential quorum notice, Austin will get on that.
It's 2:00.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, what day was that, Hunter?
Monday, February 9th, next week.
Just a reminder, if any council members are struggling to unmute, just use the raise your hand button. That way I can see it and unmute you.
Okay. Is that it for the planner's report?
And then the last thing is I'll be sending out an email. I know that we've had some prior conversations, but there are two kind of pending rezoning applications. So I'm going to be sending out email either this evening or first thing in the morning to do some small group meetings like we've done with the roads and stuff, just to kind of get you guys up to speed on the conditional rezoning process, as well as introduce you to the two submittals. So just be on the lookout, check your emails. That will either go out tonight or first thing in the morning. And then I've got some dates and times in there, and we'll get those scheduled. Other than that, that's all I got.
Great. Thank you, Hunter. Public Works report. Christina.
I have a lot.
Yeah, busy week.
Okay. Yeah. So a couple of things. Sidewalk. You obviously know we have recently gone under a sidewalk assessment. We did have some work with our vendor who was coming in and digging up some old sidewalks and then us putting some down. We have also identified some areas where we felt like we could shave down some of the sidewalks. It was in kind of good condition, but that just had variation in height that were causing tripping hazards. So we did rent a sidewalk grinder, which actually is called a Scarfire. The guys actually did really well with that. The first couple of days they had it rented and it wasn't working out too well. So we had a little bit of fear that it wasn't going to be able to be done in-house. We troubleshot a couple of things, and then the next couple of days the guys figured it out, and they've been doing well with it. Because of that, we had kind of entertained to purchase our own Scarfire. We did find one of quality. I guess there's a couple of them that we could have got for about $3,000, but when we got to looking into them and working with our engineer on recommendations, the one that we actually landed on was about $8,000. So I have not purchased it yet. We do have funds within that line item for the repairs. If cancel is okay and doesn't have any problems with us purchasing that, that is a recommendation from staff. They feel like sidewalks are going to be ongoing issue. We're always going to have sidewalks that are raising and sinking for various reasons, and we just felt like it was beneficial for us to have that in-house so that we could address those concerns when they come up and not rent them. It is about $1,500 a week to rent. So I don't know if y'all want to have some conversations on that, but we do need to make some decisions on if we're going to rent versus purchasing it, because they do need to kind of sum up some of the issues that we have outstanding right now. The vendor is currently obviously running into weather issues with laying down some concrete at this point in time. So we still have a couple of weeks before they can come back in and fix some of the concrete panels that are remaining, if not a month or two, depending on weather. So I did want to get some feedback on that.
What was the price again? What is that?
It's about $8,000 to purchase one.
So if we were to rent it for 5 weeks over a year or 3 years, it'd be kind of a break-even point. What type of maintenance do those things typically incur? Are they a lot to maintain?
To my understanding, they're not. I mean, obviously, I'm not a expert on sidewalk grinders, but in the research that we've done, they're pretty low maintenance.
Are there like teeth or some type of blade that needs to be replaced periodically that does the grinding, or how does that work?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So what do those cost and how often do they have to be replaced?
I don't know. I can find the answers to that. I'll have to come back to you on the answers on that.
Yeah, along with that question to be answered is, based upon what we see with our sidewalk inspections report, given the guys now have at least a week's time to kind of figure things out and how much they can do, it would be interesting to see them project how long they would need to do that type of maintenance in a given year. Is it something that they project would take, 1 or 2 people, X amount of weeks, each year? Is there a time of year that we typically do it more than others? So getting a little bit more information on just projecting what our needs for the usage of it would be.
Well, I can tell you, I can pretty much answer that. The current outstanding issues that we have right now, it would probably take them about a week or two to finish those out. We've never done a sidewalk assessment. I mean, we've always just kind of relied on HOAs or residents to call in complaints, because we've just recently taken the stance that we are maintaining all sidewalks. So this is kind of a new thing. So I can pretty much say what we have seen thus far is probably an accumulation of 10 years plus of issues, for the most part. So that took about a week for them to do those initial grinding, and then the vendor, however long it took them. So I don't know that we can say that we can project out how much it's going to cost per year in terms of time, because what we're seeing now is an accumulation of something that's been occurring over the last 10 years. So I can ask them that question, but I think it's going to be really hard for them to kind of gauge that.
What percent of the sidewalks that needed to be ground down were able to be ground down in that week? And I know for a couple days, like it took a little bit to get the machine, so to speak, running well.
Yeah, the majority. I mean, I can pull the percentage, but I can tell you the majority of the issues that we found were grindable issues and not total replacement. So I'd have to calculate the numbers out to tell you the percentage. But I mean, let's say there were 60 panels, 36 of them were grindable instead of replaceable. And I'm making that number up, but I know it was an overwhelming amount that we could grind versus replace.
Right. But if that was 10 years worth, those 36 panels, and we did it in a short amount of time, it might not be worth owning the machine.
Yeah.
To take it out a day or two here and there.
Okay. Well, I'll get some research on the maintenance and the teeth and how often that has to happen, and I'll calculate out that percentage, and I'll see if the guys can project it out, and I'll come back to you all at a future date on that one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
There, also, just to kind of piggyback on that, the curbing is also another assessment that we recently did, probably within the last 8 months. The same vendor is doing those that's doing the sidewalk replacement, so that crew is in the same boat. We're weather contingent on getting that curbing issue situated, and I guess we'll just have to wait for the weather to cooperate for us to be able to finish that out. Okay, moving on to the second thing, which is, I think, the mower. Let's see. Yeah, lawnmower. Mr. Mayor, you had asked about the lawnmower and the dump trailer purchase, and so I went back and got some information. The previous council did authorize, I think it was approximately $21,000 to purchase an additional mower and a dump trailer for Public Works. The mower that they were suggesting, they were recommending to purchase was a Skag. I know you had some preference on the Bad Boy mower. It's not the Public Works staff's recommendation to purchase the Bad Boy. The reason being is the Skag is more heavy duty commercial. The Bad Boys have spindle issues. We do have the Skag dealers and the maintenance people that we use. We actually use two maintenance groups for our mower maintenance. Neither one of those actually work on Bad Boys. And the Skag apparently has a thicker gauge steel on the deck. Just higher quality materials is what they said to me. And the reason that we need a third mower is because we currently have two. One of them is over 6 years old. The other one is 2 years old. They do maintain Marvin Eford Park, Village Hall. They maintain the right-of-way area from roundabout to roundabout on Newtown Road. They also maintain the Pocket Park at Publix. And then with the new Houston Ross Park, they will be maintaining that as well. They did say that it's nearly impossible to, maintain all of those areas during peak season if one of them goes down. And so that's why they're recommending that additional mower at a Skag instead of a Bad Boy.
Yeah, I mean, the Skag is the 800-pound gorilla. It's some of the best mowers out there, but they're 9-10 grand. And since this was a backup mower, in case the Skag was down, I thought Bad Boy, being locally purchased with a good warranty, may be a good backup for 4 grand. I didn't know one of the mowers was 6 years old. I don't know how many hours it has on it, but that's probably worth looking at. I mean, look, we've got to cut grass. We've got a lot of grass to cut. I want these guys to have, fairly efficient equipment, to use when they do cut. But I want to open it up to council on, spending between 8 and 9 grand on a mower. I mean, if it's going to be the primary mower, that's one thing. But a backup mower, do we want to go in that direction?
I think one of the things, and I do this in my own personal life, but if I'm replacing something, I generally make the investment in that would become really my primary one, and then the other ones kind of fall more to a backup role. I think there is a big difference between commercial branded, lawn and maintenance type items like this. I've got a steel, I've got a steel chainsaw that I just used the other day that's 26 years old, and I remember should I get the $250 one or should I get the $120 one, and I got the $250 one just because that one was more the commercial version. So I don't know if it's really, even though they say they need a backup, I think the thinking generally should be that we buy what we need, as a village at that time to handle everything. And then, maybe the 2-year mower really becomes more the backup and so forth. And I think that's probably the way that they would be handling it. Is anyone from Public Works on here today?
No, there's not.
Yeah.
I think that is probably the same philosophy that they use, and I'll be honest, we don't usually bring this level of detail to cancel. So if that's something that you guys want us to do in the future, just let me know. I usually do rely on them to make decisions for what they feel is the best fit for their how they operate. So just keep me posted if that's how you guys, if you want to.
I'm just vetting it out because curious minds want to know. I mean, we're talking
Yeah.
$9,000. I mean, it's another $9,000 into public works on something. And I've always wanted to be really conscientious of public works not becoming a money pit and how we spend
Right.
money there. I agree with John. We got to have quality. Bad Boy isn't bad. It's just different than Skag, and they have different models of Bad Boys that are $13,000.
Yeah.
And you can buy them locally and fairly easily. But if these guys want to have a vertical architecture of Skag and they're used to working on them, there's something to be said for that. So I'll let you guys basically hash that out. I mean, Christina, I think you make a good case for it.
Yeah,
If that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. I like to hear from other council people.
How often do they go down in the busy season? And
I mean, I don't think they go down often in the busy season because we try to keep them maintained pretty well. But I think the one time that it does, it's gonna, cause issues for them to, get ahead. And with one being 6 years old already, I mean, it's inevitable that it's going to happen at some point. Because they're on them daily near about in the summertime.
right, yeah, of course, probably all day long. Like, yeah.
Hey, Christine, and this may be a question for Jill, but just kind of on a global scale, what do municipalities typically do with respect to public works equipment? I mean, do they buy it or do they do like a long-term lease? And have we looked at what the what the standard is, and B, what's more economical, or either way?
I would say that most municipalities purchase their own equipment.
Okay.
I mean, we can look into rentals, but we've never done.
I just want to make sure that we've considered whether we should look at, a long-term lease as opposed to purchasing. A lot of times you'll see a lot of equipment that'll be leased because it's easier to replace. And if there's something that goes wrong, they just get a new one as opposed to actually owning it. But if it makes more sense for us to buy it, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we've considered it.
Yeah, I mean, typically, I think for an amount of this size compared to your overall budget, it probably in the past was not something that we would typically look at leasing. It's not out of the question, but when you had a considerable amount of unassigned fund balance, and we already are budgeting about 10,000 a year for the purpose of purchasing equipment that's needed, like capital equipment that's needed, we tend to defer to using the money that we've already budgeted for it. And then in years when we don't use it, we actually roll it into a fund to just bank it and let it build. So maybe we didn't need the mower this year, but we need it next year. And so that's kind of been the strategy, is let's put about 10,000 aside each year, let it grow when we don't use it, and then it's there when we have to start replacing the equipment. But it's certainly something we can look at moving forward. But I would say with your fund balance, what it is, it would probably just be faster and easier. You wouldn't have to go through any approvals with LGC for the lease and things like that to just buy it outright.
Yeah.
LGC needs to approve an equipment lease?
If it exceeds 5 years.
Yeah, depends on the terms.
Okay. Cool.
Is
just something
there
to keep in mind. I don't need any more on it. I just want to make sure that we're thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Good idea. Is there any opposition, I guess, for sake of time, is there any opposition to allowing the guys to purchase a Skag versus a lower model, I guess?
No, I think you
Okay.
get what you pay for.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Mr. Mayor?
So yeah, I'm fine. I mean,
Okay.
it's a couple grand difference. It's worth it.
Other option too, or the other item I wanted to mention too, is the dump trailer. The previous council had budgeted again, I think it was $10,000 to $11,000 for a dump trailer. The reason that was budgeted and recommended from a public works standpoint is because we don't currently have anything for when trees fall down or when debris needs to be cleared out of right of ways. So what the guys have been doing is just if there's a tree that falls, like the one that fell in Councilmember Markleese's neighborhood last year, they kind of cut it up and then left it in the right of way for the homeowner to do something with. We don't have a way to really get it cleaned up in the moment, except for we do have a little trailer that we could come back with later and pick it up. But if there's like debris, there's not a real clean way to transport that. In addition to that, we do have debris that gets removed from the park at times. Like they collect tree limbs and just various things that kind of fall down in the park, and they have to get someone to come haul that off. It's $500 each time they haul that off. They said that they do that about 2 or 3 times a year. They also have trail aggregate, and mulch that's delivered to various village facilities throughout the year. It can range anywhere from $50 to $80 a load. They have to pay someone currently to do that because we don't have a way to haul that in. So it would save on that if we decided to purchase one. In addition to that, there's probably about once a year that we rent a dingo, and we have to pay a $150 delivery fee because we don't have a way to haul the dingo in. The dump trailer would be dual axle, so it would suffice for that, being able to pick that up as well. He did find a trailer that fits this kind of description that he needs for about $10,000, and that's why we are recommending the purchase of that dump trailer. I know you had inquired on the ability to rent one when we needed it, but there's not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to when it happens. We can't really gauge when a tree is going to fall down or when we need it. I mean, obviously we can gauge renting for mulch deliveries, but it's usually twice a year. So we're looking at, we would rent one at least 2 or 3 times a year for just that alone. So that's where we're at.
Okay. So that's a little bit new. Some of that information is new as well. Originally, it was just if there's a tree that goes down the middle of the road and they got to cut it up, they got to haul it away. And initially, I thought, well, they can cut up what's in the road, set it off to the side, and come back and get it at a later date. And I'm not trying to get blood out of a penny here, but I just, this stuff adds up, and I just want to make sure that there are multiple uses and there's a value to buying something like this. It sounds like there are multiple uses if they're needing to get equipment and they're paying delivery fees because it's got to be delivered and they can't haul it themselves. If it makes them more efficient and we're not overlapping and having a trailer and still paying for, all these deliveries and stuff, if it's value added, then it may make sense. So I'll open it up to other people on council on this.
During the retreat, we were talking about storage, and we were talking about having a storage area near the town hall. And then there was the conversation of they're dragging stuff back and forth, as opposed to doing that. Was this in the conversation? I can't remember. Was this, or was this is just they were using that other smaller trailer to transport their items? In other words, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That was related to basically lawn maintenance.
Yeah.
Mostly equipment like leaf blowers, the lawnmower, weed eaters, that kind of stuff. And that still will have to be in place. Like we don't have anywhere to store that at Village Hall. So they would still have to transport all that to Village Hall. At some point, they would like to have some level of maintenance shed at Village Hall. So they would keep one of those lawnmowers there that could focus on the needs at Village Hall and the Houston Ross Park and the right of ways and the roundabouts. But until we can get that, they're having to haul it around.
But they're using the other trailer that we currently
Correct.
have. Would this make their life better, easier? Can you load more stuff on it? Would that help? Would they use it for this?
I think they could. I mean, I think they would still stick with the regular trailer that we have. But, if one crew was doing lawn maintenance and the other crew was going and picking up mulch, they could do, projects simultaneously to make more efficiency. So, I mean, I think they could, but.
Okay.
Is there any opposition?
Would the dump trailer be used to, if you walk the trails, when we lose a tree currently, we cut the tree up, we stack it beside the trail, and it stays there until it rots. There's also trees that aren't taken down that probably need to be taken down. And my question is, can this piece of equipment be used to clean up our trails from trees that are damaged and we're taking down that have died, etc.?
I mean, I think it could be, but the dump trailer is not going to fit down a trail, so it would really just be us parking it in a place along a public street and hauling some of that debris out on our dingo and then dumping
Right.
it into the dump trailer. So I mean,
Okay.
it's a possibility. It's just going to be a matter of logistics.
Okay.
Is there any opposition, or can we, I guess, move forward on that one? Okay, I assume everybody's good if if no one opposes. I'll move over to the Public Works fleet. At the retreat, I was asked about the annual mileage of our fleet, and I just wanted to mention to you that we currently drive about 5,000 miles on each truck annually. So it's not much at all. We do have 3 trucks. One's a 2021 Ford F-150, a 2022 Ford F-150, and a 2024 350. One of the F-150s has 27,000 miles on it. The other one has 41,000 miles on it. We did purchase that one used. It had about 30 on it when we purchased it, so that's why it has a little bit higher mileage. And then the 350, which we just purchased recently, only has 6,000 miles.
These are like brand new.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so that's why, don't quote me on this, but I think we had put in to the CIP maybe 10 years from now having the first level of replacement, and that's the reason is because we don't feel like we're going to get there anytime soon. And if we don't need it during that point, then we obviously won't purchase it. We just want to put something in place to start preparing for that expenditure when that comes. And then the last thing I wanted to mention to you is in response to the storm event, we've had a lot of discussion and question about salt, brine, snowplow. We have successfully been able to get an agreement with DOT to purchase brine from them, but they only allow us to get 500 gallons per event, which is right now about what we need to cover our major areas of concern. And it's not all village roads. It's mostly the areas that are hilly and shady. So that's what we've been doing. That's what we've always done, for the sake of emergency access vehicles being able to safely commute through those areas that, can accumulate snow and ice. We have never really plowed. We've never really had a snow event like we did this past couple of days, so it's not really been an issue for us in the past. However, this issue was kind of an eye opener for us, so we wanted to kind of have some conversations about how we move forward and what your thoughts are. We did look into purchasing a tank and a sprayer for brine. Brine is very expensive. With DOT only allowing us to get 500 gallons, we do have to account for, an increase in brine budget, allowances if we decide to start brining all streets. But the tank and the sprayer alone is about $18,000. That's obviously not something that we budgeted for. According to staff, salt works way better than the brine does. They did find a salt sprayer that holds about 500 pounds for about $1,500. Salt that we have used in this past event was about $2,000 per event. We're looking at about 150 bags or more. And we did find a plower. So our 350 is equipped to add a plower to it. We'd have to make some modifications to it and purchase the plow. That is an option if you guys want to start preparing for plowing. The other option is to put a plow on our mule. And we did get a quote for that for about $1,500, which should cover, residential roads. So I know that's a lot to throw at you. I guess the number one question that I have for all of you is there any interest in us purchasing and brining all village roads?
Well, if salt works better, wouldn't we use salt?
That's what our recommendation is.
And it's cheaper, right?
It is. It is cheaper.
so I would definitely do salt, and maybe that should be part of our planning is to have some salt. But I think the methodology of how we do it in those troubled spots makes the most sense because I did a lot of driving today and the roads are dry and perfect, except in those low shady spots where it's just all ice. And I think if we were able to target those, that would be beneficial.
I think right now, Christina, correct me if I'm wrong, but they may have, I think it's more than 5, but less than 10 areas that they've really identified that they need to focus on. Is that number about correct?
No, and I actually put the list inside of your agenda packets. I don't
Okay.
have it pulled up in front of me right now.
I'll pull it up, yeah.
It
It's
looks
a
like
good
it's
handful.
about 20 roads.
Yeah, and
So-
and they're adding to
Well,
it now.
and it's just sections of them, right?
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
our recommendation from staff is to potentially look forward to maybe purchasing the salt spreader for $1,500 and just loading up on salt. Um, I think we can get through the rest of this winter with the process that we've got in play now and using how we are currently doing the salt, but into next fiscal year, we might want to look into budgeting for a salt spreader and an increase in salt. So unless y'all have further objections on that, salt versus brine, that's the recommendation that I'm gonna go with.
Salt sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Is every neighborhood getting some love here on this? I mean, there's low-lying areas and neighborhoods that are DOT, shaded areas that are DOT, and ones that are controlled by Marvin.
That's
How
a
is
great
how-
question.
Yeah.
Great question. We do not touch DOT roads. So I guess the answer is no. We only touch village roads. And then we only touch the roads of concern that have those problem areas. So like Weddington Chase, for example, I don't know if I haven't looked at the list today, but I don't know if any of Weddington Chase, for example, is on there because it's a pretty, sunny neighborhood.
It is. We're 24 to 27, but the intersections aren't the spots. It's the in between the intersections where you go like down a hill, around a turn,
Yeah.
and it's just high trees on both sides. And like the last thing you want to do coming down a hill with no ice is get to the bottom of a hill where it turns and it's all ice as you come to a stop sign. So maybe some tweaking on the locations. But overall, I knew the spots that were going to be here and they were, but they weren't necessarily the spots that needed it.
Well, and the list is in your agenda packet, so if you guys want to look at it, since you know your neighborhood streets more than us, and just shoot me an email to say, hey, maybe you should add this spot and this spot, that would be pretty helpful to us as well.
Has anybody seen the DOT plow the last 72 hours?
No.
So I received updates throughout the event from Matt McManus, who's our public works superintendent. And without looking at my text right now, I can tell you the majority of DOT roads hadn't been touched.
Yeah. Joe Kerr is a mess. Marvin School, you come around the bend by our neighborhood bridle path, it's brutal in the shade. There's a whole bunch of spots around Marvin, and I was a little disappointed in the performance by our beloved DOT.
Yeah, there were this morning at 8 a.m. I turned around and ended up going back over Joe Carr to Ray, because down in that hole as you hit the Mecklenburg line, there were a number of cars literally crashed into each other and abandoned off the side down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's certainly areas like that. I did actually get to speak with Matt, and one interesting thing that he did have is that there was one of our contractors actually did have a small machine with a plow that he was plowing some of these real bad areas. Christina, who was I think they were from our engineering group or something like that, but can you speak to that?
Yeah, I was actually going to speak to that next after we kind of talked about the brine and the salt. So we did contract out our asphalt vendor, Union Environmental, to come in with a skid steer with a plow attached to it to plow out some of these problem areas. We typically don't do that, but because of the severity of this storm, we did do that for this event.
It made a big difference. Let me say that
did.
for one, but also today, today, tomorrow. It's also a good test case for the guys to just drive around and continue to see, whether they're involved in rectifying it or not, but just identifying these areas that are still having. This would be a good test case to see what else needs to be on the list.
Yeah, they're taking notes throughout the event, and they will update that that sheet that's in that list that's in your agenda packet so that you can see, how that's going to change. But if y'all look at it and you see anything that you think needs to be added, just let us know. Is there any opposition to, I guess, not doing the brine on all roads? I mean, if y'all are okay with the mechanism moving forward that we're suggesting here, then we don't really need to speak to that anymore.
Yeah, I agree with the salt being kind of the main strategy. And yeah, the guys did an amazing job. And, I think we are getting what we're paying for with the responsiveness we've had to this storm and the flexibility that these guys from a staff perspective are doing, getting out there at night in the mornings and things like that. I just really want to commend them.
Yeah, they've done a really good job. Okay, the next thing I wanted to mention, is there anyone that I guess wants us to look into the plowing in more detail, or are y'all okay with the way that we kind of have this arrangement now?
How much did we pay for that kind of outsourcing of the plow? Because that would make, kind of the decision easier on whether we invest in a plow for the 350 at some point or not. And it may not even be something we worry about this year. Hopefully we don't get another, 20-year storm in the next 20 days or anything like that. But you never know. These things can happen. And, if we get through this winter, we can start to plan and budget for what we think we need in the future.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the vendor that we have has a 5-hour minimum, and they are $200 an hour. So, and again, it is a skid steer, so it's going to take some time to do what they did. So I would kind of budget at least $1,000 to $2,000 per event, if we had to call them back in. Like I said, we can get a snowplow attachment on our dingo for about $1,500. So one event would essentially cover it for that purpose.
Yeah, I'm not sure about a dingo being able to handle some of these roads and the snow we saw, but
yeah, you mean a skid steer or an actual dingo? Dingoes are small. You can literally walk behind them.
Yeah.
Christina, can you clarify the piece of equipment you're talking about?
Yeah, we don't have a skid steer. I'm sorry, our mule, not our dingo, not a dingo. It's a mule.
Yeah, okay.
Got it.
Yeah, I'd still be interested to know what kind of a real plow for the 350 would end up, and measuring that against rentals or even the cost of equipping one for the dingo.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. The 350? What do you mean? Oh,
for the larger
attachment.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want me to get a quote on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so we kind of compare all three ways.
Okay, we can bring that back. And that is all I have for Public Works.
Were you going to talk about street sweep?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. The street sweep for the roundabouts will be done Wednesday, just so y'all are aware.
Great. Quick question about street sweep. Is anyone holding the contractors accountable over by Sage to get the gravel and mud out of the road? They're making a mess over there off of Joe Kerr. I don't know if some of you live over this way have noticed this. There's gravel. When they pull out, they're starting to do stuff now at Sage. When they pull out of the lot, they're tracking a mess on Joe Kerr Road.
I'll defer over to Hunter on that one, but that is a DOT road. But Hunter,
okay.
I think. Hunter, do you have your hand raised?
He's got to be unmuted.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, I've already actually spoken with the developer on that. This was identified during their pre-con meeting last week. So they're aware of it. I believe they went out there and cleaned it before the storm, and I've asked them to basically make sure that they're doing a daily check before leaving the site to make sure that that's being addressed.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Christina.
Mhm.
The next report is the deputy's report. Oh, I'm sorry, Parks and Rec. My bad. Parks and Rec.
I'll just kind of jump in real quick and say, obviously you've seen the park in the last couple of days. It's pretty much almost done. They were waiting to finish the trail, the last I had seen with the storm event, so that that park should be wrapping up here shortly, and they will come back in when the weather starts getting a little better and start doing the plantings. We did have the little working group that was formed. Mayor Pro Tem Martin and Christina Culp and I met to decide on a water feature location, which is kind of directly in the middle of the park itself. I will come back to you all for a final approval once we have another meeting and kind of go over the options there. We did sign the change order for the installation of electric for that pond. And then also you saw the lights going up, if they're not already up already, at the end of last week. And I think that's all.
Okay, thank you. H6, we've got the deputy's report.
So the deputy report was sent out to you all earlier today. I had a couple of questions from Councilman Ilaraza, very good questions. I'm still waiting on information back from our deputies on the questions he had, so I'll report back to you all via email once I get those responses. But I did want to mention a couple of things that you may not be aware. Number one, if you look at the traffic citations issued for this month, I think it was maybe 37, 39, somewhere around there. The way that Marvin works and the way the reporting system works, it's a little bit wonky. Obviously, you all know that the municipal boundary limits are kind of spotty. 1 minute you're in Marvin, 1 minute you're not. So if you commit an act and you get pulled over outside of Marvin proper, that is not going to show up in the reporting. For example, if I'm speeding from Village Hall to the school and he starts to pull me over at the school, but I make it all the way out past Joe Carr and get out of Marvin and he pulls me over, that's not going to be reflective in this report. So just so you are aware, there are actual increases in the numbers that you're seeing here. They're just not reflective. For example, we pulled Breslin's call log this past month, and he had 59 citations issued, but you're not seeing that because they were actually pulled over outside of Marvin. So we can expand the service area if you guys want to see those traffic citations reflective in this deputy's report, but I did want to mention that to you all so you're aware.
When you say expand the service area, not the service area of actual coverage of the deputies we have.
No, just the reports.
The report. I'm a huge fan of that, and
okay.
I talked to Angel about this as well, and we'd love to see more outskirts of kind of what's going on, because it's going to impact Marvin in some way, and what happens in Marvin impacts Weddington and some of the donut holes and whatnot. So it'd be great to have visibility to that.
Yeah, is it possible to still keep it separate in a way so we can see Marvin, but then we can also see what's in our contiguous areas, which, you know, I guess they probably do it by zone or something like that.
It's a good question.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see if they can. But you just want that for traffic citations, I'm assuming.
I'd like it for all criminal or
like if there's a break-in
activity.
Yeah, if there's a break-in, let's say, in a neighborhood that's right beside one of our neighborhoods, but not technically in Marvin, it would be good to have that information just so, people can have a heads up.
If you have a neighbor who's an unincorporated union and they have a break-in.
Yeah. Like Chimneys at Marvin, kind of in the center. That would be great, if something is going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Or really anywhere near Marvin, it would be nice to know.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. That's it on the deputy's report, Christina?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Planning board report. H7.
Yeah, on the planning board, we met. There were two things. The first was what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is going to be the signage over at Dunkin' Donuts. They want a little bit more visibility with their name. We'll talk about that. The other thing came up was Article 11, in which already hunters have kind of addressed it, is to deal with, basically landscaping, trees, that sort of thing, and working on the ordinance with that. So, but he didn't have the full details. We're going to go through that in the next planning board meeting. But that's it.
Okay. Thank you. PRNG board report.
Oh, hold on. He might be muted. Okay. No, John, you're not muted.
Oh, in terms of the PRG, I thought, I didn't think that was me giving it, but is this normally where I give a PRG report? Or
Yeah, I mean, it may not have any news except for the fact we got to fill spots on some of these boards, which we failed to mention on the planning board and obviously on the PRNG board. So I know those are things that are top of mind for February. But anything else going on, John, to your knowledge that's worth noting?
Yeah, no, other than we did have the conversations around the renaming of Houston Ross Park.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing. It is getting a little bit strange now because the PRG meetings are kind of happening right after the council meetings. So, we were scheduled to have one tomorrow. So, nothing else that I can recall.
We did cancel tomorrow's meeting, by the way.
Correct.
Okay, so everything's kind of getting delayed because of weather, obviously. Are the PRNG board meetings in the morning or are they in the evening? When do they typically have those board meetings?
Usually 9 to 11, the first Tuesday of each month.
So I just want to throw it out there. Are we getting as many people interested in serving on some of these boards if they're meeting in the morning and not in the evening? I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh, it's self-limiting because the only people you're going to get to participate are retirees like me. I had the time to do it, but those that work can't make the meetings. So, as we looked at candidates for the Planning Commission and Park Rec and Greenway, I think everybody can agree our pool of candidates for the Planning Commission was terrific. But yet the pool for Park Rec and Greenway wasn't as good as maybe we would like to have had. But again, it's self-limiting because of the time of day that we do it.
Yeah, I also think that at least initially one of the reasonings behind it was that we wouldn't have to pay staff extra time to also stay late or comp time, things of that nature, even keeping the building open. I think there is some flexibility to that. Many of the current members are on that board because they do have that flexibility. And in some cases, you may cause the other issue where they may be less available in evenings. But I think there's flexibility there either way if the council wants to make a decision. I recall that at one point, and this is many years ago, I think we used to kind of rotate it where we might have, once a quarter, we would do one in the evening and stuff. It didn't seem to really push the needle in, outside participation either way. So I think we kind of just fell back to making it more easier on staff that are already there during the day.
Keep in mind that each board has the ability to set their own meeting schedule, including their meeting time. So the PRG board themselves could change their meeting times to be nights if that's what they wanted.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll bring it up as a topic of conversation for the meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Coffee with council debrief.
So that was Bob and I, and we actually I'm just trying to get some of the information here, so give me 1 second. But we had 3 residents from our new community, the Heritage at Marvin, that did come out to speak, and they did have some specific questions around the trails and the pocket park that are intended for the Heritage District there. As many of you are aware, the kind of paved asphalt trail that starts along Newtown Road and pretty much goes all the way almost to the roundabout, that was completed as part of the development agreement. There was initially spoken about another natural path that would continue almost parallel to Meadowlark Lane, but would tie back into one of the cul-de-sacs at the end of one of the streets there along the side of Meadowlark. At the time, we as the PRG and I think staff were still wondering what we would be doing with the roundabout, if there were to be other potential development there. So we kind of tabled some of that discussion until some of these other things clarify themselves, including what we may want to do with the Heritage Pocket Park that is about 2 acres that was donated to us there as well. So in consultation with the developer, we actually took a fee in lieu of the amount of about $28,000 that we did receive in December for that kind of secondary trail. The thoughts around it at the time, and perhaps staff can refresh me, but there were some concerns that they had about the grades and things like that. But these members of the community were very adamant that they want to see us continue to build that trail, that it was sold to them kind of as part of the sales literature and things like that that were provided to the community, that some of the people actually bought houses on it because they wanted to have easy access to the trail. They do understand that it would be a public trail, but I think we shared a letter that I received as a recap from Sunil, who's one of the residents that met with us, copying the other 2 residents in as well. They've indicated that there's even further support for us completing that trail for them at some point. So, at least the estimate from the fee in lieu was about $28,000. We'll continue to make you aware of that situation, and if necessary, bring something before council about it. But the emails that you saw from the resident, as well as the follow-up that Bob and I had with them, I think has been shared with you earlier today if you get a chance to kind of read through it. But Bob, if you'd like to perhaps add anything else that you heard from those folks, or did I?
Great thing to add.
We're kind of missing you, Bob, I think.
Sorry?
I don't think we heard what you said.
No, I thought you did a good job of recapping. Okay. I have nothing to add.
Okay. So we'll bring that, but they did state that they're very excited to be in Marvin. Some of them were in neighborhoods that were close to Marvin, like the Reserve, that were excited to move into Marvin. They did also state that their neighborhood is one that doesn't have a whole lot of amenities. They don't have a pool. They don't have a clubhouse. I gave them a tour of Village Hall, just indicating to them that if they ever needed to meet as a community, of course, we do make rooms available, for rental or otherwise for community purposes and stuff. And they were excited to hear about that. But they said they really are, within their community, looking forward to that trail as part of, what they really support there. So.
Thank you, John. Next one would be the WUMA report. Angel, I know, was very exciting on January 21st.
Very exciting. And yeah, basically they talked about 2026 priorities, and there are 3 of them. Legislative updates, from the state are probably the number one, just to watch what the General Assembly is doing. A crime watch program, which is something that I think we want to get more information about. And then also, it was brought up about hiring a lobbyist to rep the municipalities. Waxhaw has one, but I think most of the municipalities felt like we didn't need one, except possibly to direct General Assembly legislation. And interesting side note, Wesley Chapel has a mini golf course at their park. That's it.
Is it like a part two or?
I mean, is it putt-putt? I'm not sure, but sounds kind of cool.
Thank you. Okay, so let's see here. I think we move on to the consent agenda if we're done with all of the reports. Austin,
So you just need a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So
So
moved.
moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And it passes.
You're good to move on to unfinished business. No, public hearings, excuse me.
Great. Austin, is it okay if I ask one question about something that is under the adoption of appointments boards as well as committees?
Generally you should move on, but go ahead.
Quick question. One of the things I noticed in the documentation, by the way, I think it's a great process, whoever put it together. Is there anything in there that verifies that the person is actually either a taxpayer in Marvin or lives in Marvin?
Residency is required. That's already in our adopted policies. So that's not something you need to have in here. It's required elsewhere.
Okay. All right. So I guess residency can mean you just have to live in Marvin, whether you live at home with your parents or whatever it may be.
That is correct. Fun fact, a former council member lived at home with his parents.
Okay. Got it.
So yes, so you're good there. Though they also have to be 18 years or older.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for indulging me there. Okay, let me find. We're heading right down to unfinished business, you say?
No,
Public
you're going to
hearings.
public hearing.
Oh, sorry. Public hearings, beg your pardon. Public hearing to consider the adoption of an ordinance to amend the Marvin Gardens individual conditional district ICD development standards regarding wall signage for ZTA 2026-1 Dunkin' Donuts signage.
So I have to step in here. I have a number of constituents in my neighborhood went through a very, very lengthy process to kind of restrict the signage, and it is a really important issue in my neck of the woods. And
So Hunter normally gives his staff report first before we open it to the public and council discussion. That's just the normal order of business. Go ahead and finish your thought, but then hand it over to him.
yeah, no, I'll wait. It'll be more appropriate after. Hunter, by all means, please. Sorry, I jumped in ahead there.
Right. So yeah, the village has received a zoning text amendment application to amend the Marvin Garden conditional zoning development standards. Essentially, it's a very straightforward request. It's per the original approvals. For the development standards, Marvin Gardens basically only allowed 2 total wall signs per building. The owner of Dunkin' Donuts basically has asked and hired a sign company, and they've applied for this text amendment basically to allow for an additional wall signage if the building has 2 right-of-way frontages. So basically, the building there at phase 2 or out parcel 2 sits there at the corner of Newtown Road and Providence. And so it's kind of got this weird double frontage. So basically their current 2 wall signs is on the side above their drive-through and at the front of their building. They don't have one on the back. So from a visual standpoint from that intersection, it's lacking kind of that marketing and stuff from being able to properly identify the business on the backside there. So this text amendment basically is only to amend to allow for additional wall signage if buildings have double right-of-way frontage, which this is the only one that does. So it really wouldn't apply to any other building in Marvin Gardens. It would only apply to the building on out parcel 2, specifically really this space, because it's the one that sits on the corner. The proposed sign, if approved, would be the same exact one in dimensions that already comply with the Marvin Gardens ICD development standards, and it would just be placed there on the rear of the structure. That's really high level. I can go into greater detail, but in your packets is the staff memo as well as the text amendment rezoning or the text amendment application and the signage plan kind of showing the locations of the existing signs, as well as where the one, if this text amendment would be approved, where this would be proposed.
Mr. Mayor, if you could just say aloud that you're opening the public hearing, and then we will move to the public.
Okay, it is time to open the public hearing, and we welcome public comment on this.
Okay, so members of the public, you may use the raise your hand feature to request to speak. I'll then allow you to unmute, and you'll have 3 minutes.
And Austin, I will mention that the applicant, Brianna, she is on the call. So if there's any questions that I can't specifically answer that you have towards the applicant, she's also here to answer anything specifically.
Okay. So looking through, I don't see any hands at the moment. Going once. Okay. Lauren Thomas, give me 1 second. I'll unmute you. I'll ask you to unmute. There you go.
Hi there, Council. I'm Lauren Thomas, 3025 Groves Edge Lane. I first want to say thank you for what you're doing, being very responsive with lots of decisions that you're making today, and it doesn't go unnoticed, and I appreciate what you're doing. As far as the Dunkin' Donuts signage, do not live over at Weddington Chase, but I would, and I don't want to speak for them, I live in Marvin Creek, but it's something that I would assume that if there's an expansion of a signage, that's a precedent to set for additional signage for other vendors to do the same. And I would say that, amending the ordinance is not something that would be necessarily a good idea. If we can, keep the signage as it is, I don't see why expanding this Dunkin' Donut commercial signage would be a good thing for our rural charm. I do recognize that it's in a commercial district, but I would certainly lean towards the ear of Councilmember Ilaraza, who has a lot of constituents over in the Weddington Chase area who have concerns. Thank you.
Okay, if there's anyone else, please use the raise your hand feature. Going once. Going twice. And Mr. Mayor, you are good to, oh, sorry, we do have one more. Hold on. I don't know this person's name. If you could state your name and your address once you unmute.
Hi, yes, this is Kristen Conway. I'm at 12017 Carolina Cherry. I also want to share just concerns about changing commercial signage notice, similar to cities such as Hilton Head, where things are kept very separated and there's a very distinct look. I know that's something that the council worked hard on with Marvin Gardens, and I think we should be really careful about creating a different appearance because of the rural charm and the preserve nature slogan of our village. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else? Going once. Going twice. All right, Mr. Mayor, you are good to close the public hearing, and then you guys may begin discussion.
Okay, we're going to close the public hearing and begin discussion of the adoption of an ordinance to amend the Marvin Gardens Individual Conditional District ICD development standards regarding wall signage for Dunkin' Donuts ZTA 2026-1.
Hey, John. Oh, sorry. John's muted here. Let me unmute him. Okay, John, you're unmuted.
Yeah, I was just asking to be unmuted because I need to speak. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And Mayor and Council, if I may.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
Sorry, all I was going to mention is that just for clarification, like Marvin Gardens has its own set of development standards. So this amendment only applies to that development. It does not, this is not amending any other signage regulations in our MDO. And as mentioned, it's really only for this specific location. It's not going to allow for any other out parcels or such to basically have any additional signage in the future. I just wanted to kind of clarify for you guys as you guys discuss this.
So I'll lead off right here. I guess I have the horse in the race. So neighborhoods feel strongly about this. Super pro business personally. I've mentioned on record that I drink copious amounts of coffee, right? So I'd like to see Dunkin' Donuts win here. And I've been in that location many times. Their issue isn't signage, right? There's, I think, other things at play there. And part of it is how DOT and how you can kind of get in there. They're tucked away in a spot that's not easy to get in and out of. And I know when I'm driving and I want to get coffee, I have other options that I can get in and out real fast and get my coffee. And that tends to be where I end up stopping. And I think that's more at play here than people not being aware there's a Dunkin' Donuts there. I think people are aware there's a Dunkin' Donuts. I don't think adding signs is the fix that maybe they're hoping for. But for the residents who live around there, they don't want to see a change to the signage.
Was there a recommendation that came out of the planning board?
Yes, John. The planning board discussed this at their meeting in January, and they unanimously recommended approval of the text amendment. And it was mainly for actually the reasons that, in a way, they wanted to make sure, the adequate signage for the business to succeed was kind of one of their main factors in their discussion.
Well, and where is it now that they think they're not being seen from?
Just give me 1 second. This may just be easier if I do it this way. Hold on.
Hunter, let me know if you need a screen share. I have to give you those privileges.
Yeah, I'm going to need to.
If I'm not mistaken, they're adding signage primarily on Newtown because they have Providence facing signage.
Like I said, this is the wall mounted sign, so it'd literally just be on the back of the building. So give me 1 sec, just to show for everybody else screen. Yeah, just Austin, if you can give me.
I have to give you co-host. Hold on. Me. Set make co-host. All right, you should be able to now.
Let's see. All right, can everybody see my screen okay?
It's coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this is at the intersection of Providence and Newtown. As you can see, so you have the Magnolia Med Spa and Yoga 6 that have their signage here. They have additional signage on the front over the entrance because the ordinance does require, like I said, two wall mounted signs, one to be over the primary entrance and then the other to be selected by, the applicant. With Dunkin', as you can see, it's kind of at a unique visual point. So they have one that's on the side right here and then one over the primary entrance of that. So they would basically this text amendment, if approved, would allow them to have another sign that says Dunkin' basically be placed right here along the back. Same dimensions and all that. It's not changing those requirements. It's basically just, like I said, allowing one additional wall mounted sign.
And can you go to that other view from the intersection again?
Yes, sir. 1 sec. Like I said, I'm going to back up right here. So if you're coming down Providence, that's
getting dizzy here.
Yeah. If you're going from Providence, from Charlotte to Waxhaw, like I said, you see these two, but you do not see it on the rear here. Now, if you're coming from Waxhaw towards Charlotte, obviously you'd be able to see the one on the side there. But this is what was basically brought this text amendment, was that we were inquiring about getting an additional sign. As I mentioned, the ordinance only allows two. And so then they submitted this application to amend this, and the text that was drafted, like I said, would only apply to really this out parcel and really this location in general. Because there's no other double frontage really throughout the development.
And And would that approval be contingent upon it being only in that spot and only that size?
So there is two ways to do this. So the way that's drafted, yes, like it's intended to only be here, but you can, with it being the conditional development standards, you can specifically state that it's allowed only on out parcel 2. And then that really then clears up anything else.
Well, I meant this third Dunkin' sign. Like, we're not saying that they can put one out on the corner or anywhere
Correct.
else. It's
Right.
only
This is just
specific to that.
Yeah, this is only wall mounted only, so it would be essentially this, and within the parameter, the dimensions that's allowed in that ICD, which I don't have in front of me.
But it would be consistent with those other two and the one that it has on the side.
That is correct, yes, sir.
So, I mean, other buildings do have, right, the kind of visibility from two sides. So I could see another building saying like, oh, well, I too have 4 sides and like 3 of them can be seen. So I could see this coming up with someone else. But as the super coffee drinker, right, they're in a great spot because seeing it in the direction you're showing right now is the reverse commute, right? People are going this way when they're coming home at night, which is presumably not prime coffee drinking hours, right? But in the morning, everyone's going the other way where they would see that Dunkin' sign. And presumably those people on their way home are aware that Dunkin' is there. Someone who's traveling this way in the morning for work, right, might not know, but they'll see it on the way back. And right, everyone has apps now that tell them these things. But my point is, down the road is another coffee place that is struggling because they're on the wrong side of the road for the commute. And it's impossible to get in there in the morning. So even if you want to stop there, they're just in a really bad spot if you're heading towards Charlotte. But if they were on the other side of the street, like they'd be gold, right? So I think the issue here isn't that people going this way or coming down Newtown aren't aware. I mean, with the sign there, if I'm heading this way, it's adding time. Even if I'm just using a GPS app and it's going to tell me stopping at this Dunkin' Donuts is going to add 6 minutes because I have to get up here, I have to make a left, I have to come through, I go through the drive-through, and now leaving, right? I'm limited in ways I can go for the way that I want to go. I can't come out that first entrance. It's going to force me to make a right. So if I'm still going this way, I have to go around to the other light. So the GPS app is going to add a bunch of time for that. Or I go Newtown, like it's just not a convenient place to quickly get coffee. And I think that is their issue. I think if they were on one of the out parcels right by the light or by the entrance or exit, that would have been a home run, like an absolute home run location.
So Fred, what is the concern with the Weddington Chase folks with this sign?
They just were very involved, as I understand it, in the signage process, and they don't want to see any erosion to the work that they put in.
Is there a reason? I lived in Raleigh for 14 years, and there were part of Raleigh I lived in. They had shopping centers where all the signage was the same color, like a soft brown, like this. Is there a reason why Dunkin' got to have an orange sign that sticks out and is really noticeable versus what Magnolia and Yoga 6 have?
It's just the trademark and branding. Like basically
So they didn't choose. They weren't beholden to a brown color that was already their trademarked color for those 2 brands.
Correct.
Okay. And when they built this and they moved in and they wanted their sign placement, they were beholden to a certain number of signs, and now they just want an extra sign that is positioned on the back of this building because they.
That's correct. I think I don't have the dates in front of me. It was either in late 2023, if not 2024. They went to planning board used to wear a hat called what is our design review board. And basically all site plan approval, signage and all that stuff had to go to the DRB board. At that time, they did have the 3 signs proposed. It was noted that the ordinance only allows 2. DRB can't grant them an additional signage approval. They're basically only making sure that it's consistent with the approved vision plans and the development standards for the Marvin Garden specifically. And so the applicant basically said that they were going to move forward with just the 2 signs. They decided to remove the the location here and go with the one on the over the drive-through here. And like I said, they have one along the frontage of the primary entrance, which is required. Like that one has to be there. They couldn't basically put their two wall signs at the back and the side here and not have one over their primary entrance.
I think they got it right the first time when they put it on that side of the building, as Fred says, when you're going northbound on Providence Road. I think having one on a 90-degree angle in two places is overkill. That's just my 2 cents. And I mean, you know, most people around this area know that Dunkin' Donuts is there now. I would imagine, you know, your daily commuters and stuff. But that's my 2 cents.
Well, I do think, you know, we've seen that commercial development, which is pretty much the only one that we have in Marvin, struggling, at least with respect to a couple of restaurants that have been in there. So I think we need to be mindful of what the business thinks that the business needs and is going to drive, you know, additional revenues there. And I also think it's important for us to keep in mind that, you know, this isn't a big orange sun that's going to be, you know, the light from which is going to be shining into anybody's, you know, bedroom. It faces a commercial intersection. So, you know, I think the planning board probably got it right when it unanimously approved the request.
Has any other business asked for a third sign? Like has, I don't know, 7-Eleven asked for another?
7-Eleven back in 2020, this was all prior to me, so right when I was starting, or so 2021, they did. And I can, in your packets, there is the Marvin Gardens ICD specific language, but essentially they came to amend because it was very similar. And that's how they got the digital sign here. It was all part of a text amendment that was done in either the fall of 2020 or early 2021.
So, Hunter, sorry, is that a third 7-Eleven sign there? Or is that the second?
I think it's a second. It's a second, but I want to say, pull up the ordinance just so I can tell you specifically. I want to say that like that digital menu or the digital sign like that was not a permitted sign for the. And it's kind of hard to see. There's a tree there.
Is there a sign when you're going westbound, Hunter, on Newtown? Is there a sign, a digital 7-Eleven sign on the opposite side of the building?
No, there's not. But it's also fuel canopy and all this other stuff. Yeah. So like you could see it there.
Pretty obvious. There's a gas station there. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, if you in your packets, there's an attachment that says Marvin Gardens ICD sign regulations. And if you were to pull that up and go to the third page, you'll see under convenience store, mini mart, express fuel tenant, that's where they amended the original language to allow for that specific signage. Because it's a kind of a good point. So let me explain that. So essentially what their ordinance was is the 7-Eleven branded sign right there was the actual wall signage, but the digital menu counts as a quote unquote different sign. And so that's what their specific text amendment was for, was basically to allow that either as one sign or allow that digital sign just specifically on that side of the building.
So they only have 2 or they have 3?
From a technical standpoint, they have 3.
Okay.
Because the 7-Eleven's a sign and then that digital price is a sign. Even though it's all one unit for the most part, per the ordinance, it's 2 different signs.
But practically speaking, it's 2. Because it's like, you know.
I'm gonna stop sharing. Is there any other questions?
Is there any other opportunity for any other merchants in Marvin Gardens to ask for that?
The only other one would be potentially the med spa, because the way that this ordinance is written, it says public right-of-way frontage. And so, for example, oh wow. These two out parcels right here only have one public right-of-way frontage, which would be Providence. This one, like I said, because it sits at a corner, has double frontage between Newtown and Providence. And so potentially you could say this one. I have not talked with MedSpa if that's in their interest. Like I said, you could do it. We could revise this and bring it similar specifically to how the 7-Eleven was done and do it only specifically to that that the Dunkin' Donuts unit where it basically only states that that's only allowed a third sign, and potentially even bring in the driveway or drive-through language in that to make it more specific, because it might not always be a Dunkin'.
Right. And one point I'd like to make, kind of what Joe was saying, is like, if you've ever been to Annapolis, I mean, I was there a billion years ago, so it might not be like that anymore. You know, certain areas, historic areas, were required to have, like, everyone had like the same kind of sign, and the frontage had to be, you know, maybe it was landmarked or something, and then inside it was modern, but from the outside it was really quaint and old timey. And near where I lived in New Hyde Park on Jericho Turnpike, there was a landmarked old Victorian home with this like wooden sign that said McDonald's. And it was like the weirdest thing. Like, what is this? Some Timu McDonald's? Like, is this like, you know, coming to America or something? And you go inside and it's a full-on legit modern McDonald's. But outside, it's an old Victorian home with porches that wrap around. And it was just the coolest thing. And the neighborhood had gone off to something totally different now, but it was neat that they kept that, right? And I think this isn't quite to that scale, but I love what the developers here did, right? Like I really love this. Like I love the stone wall. I love the way they did the retaining pond. Like there's so much they did, like just home run. And I think a lot of the businesses there have had a hard time, and I think there's a ton of reasons behind that. Like I said, our whole neighborhood is like really invested in the success of this. Like all of us want these businesses to do really well. We make a point of trying to patronize them, of you know, giving feedback that we help is helpful. Like we really, really, really want them to do well. But we also want to, like, I like the ordinances. Like I think they were well done. And I think the neighborhood agrees that, you know, we don't want to see them erode into something else as time goes by.
Yeah, I would add to that, you know, not only is it our only, but that also really kind of makes it what was our first. And I recall, and I know many of the Weddington Chase residents that went through that. While they were going through that, they had good representation on the village council as well. I think they had two members of Weddington Chase that were active council people at the time. And I think they did come up with a really good looking project here. Fred, I understand exactly what you're saying. Some of those neighborhoods that get developed with a specific ambiance and things like that, I think that was kind of done here. This isn't your traditional type of strip mall per se. A lot of the roof lines and things like that speak to it being an upgrade. But again, we're not developers here, and we're not the business owners, but they are our constituents, just like the residents are. And I do know that folks have expressed the concerns about some of the businesses in this particular location being able to do well. I look at this particular signage issue, kind of from the standpoint: is it going to in any way demonstrably disaffect the look and feel and things like that? And when I see those other two on that side, I don't really see it. If it were just the third one, Duncan, there, which really kind of lines up to identifying what each of them are. I understand why the business owner is interested in doing it to supplement his business. And then at that point, I have to weigh, well, what's the effect going to be to residents and the people of Marvin? And at least in this case, if it's just limited to where that sign could be, versus a giant landmark one that, sits next to the sidewalk there or things like that. I'm leaning towards kind of agreeing with the planning board and don't see this as a large thing, but something that, the business owner thinks would help. And I don't necessarily see the negative effects from it.
This shopping center has had some issues, and I don't believe it's because people didn't know that those places were in there. I think the business owners thought they knew it was best and they were wrong. And that's kind of the free market, right? It happens all the time, and it's a shame, but sometimes that's not the missing piece, is the advertising, right? Sometimes it's the product, sometimes it's location, sometimes it's a whole bunch of things, right? It's staff, it's whatever.
Sure.
I don't think that putting the sign up is going to drastically increase business, and people are going to walk in and go, I had no idea there was a Dunkin' Donuts here. Like, this is so great. When did you guys open? How long have you been here? And then it might not be a Dunkin' Donuts, it'll be something else, and we'll have other signs. And Yoga 6 is going to say, I want a Yoga 6 on this side too, because people coming this way don't know that we're here, or coming down Newtown. And then I think we open it. There's other out parcels that aren't developed, and yes, they have one facing the public right away, and they'll have to have one on the other side. But to the 50 years from now, conversations, maybe signs on the side will be fine then too. And now we've kind of lost some of the charm and character that went into developing this.
Kind of along those lines, Fred. I mean, and you pointed this out. Like these aren't bright orange. The signs on this side.
The Dunkin' will be, though.
If it were a toned down, color that was along the same color as those other signs, would you still have? Or let me put it this way: do you think that people would have the same objection?
I don't know that they do. They would, honestly. I don't know if a franchisee has that ability. That's probably a Dunkin' corporate that'll probably take a whole bunch of back and forth. I don't know that people would object, but Yoga 6 might not stay there. Med Spa might not stay there. They might become other things that have more boisterous signs and different lettering, and then it might be weird. And then Dunkin' might come back and say, this sign makes no sense anymore. Can we change it to an orange one?
I don't know, just my 2 cents about it is I was on the planning board, and I know the conversation that went on to make this decision. I like donuts, and I constantly
love donuts.
forget there's a donut place there. I don't see the sign, and I come down Newtown all the time, and every time I come around and then leave Publix, that's where I do my shopping. I'm sitting there going, oh, that's right, Dunkin' Donuts is over there. I got to remember that next time. So it never catches my top of the mind. So I can see why, from a corporate standpoint, I've been in the restaurant business my whole life, that I can see why they need signage there. Balance is out that side of the building too. By the way, when you showed the other side of that, Hunter, of the med spa, I always thought it always looks like a bank to me, like a bank with no. I mean, I don't even know what's there when I'm coming along the side of it going into Publix. Just my two. I'm just saying. Yeah, everybody's making good points. I'm just saying. I always forget there's a Dunkin' Donuts there until I'm leaving Publix. So
when it opened, we thought that's where the Dunkin' Donuts was going to be, because it appears to have a drive-through there.
Yeah, yeah.
But it isn't one.
No. And every time I
strange.
see that, I always think there's a bank there. I don't know why. It talks about,
Yeah, I think had that been the location for the Dunkin' Donuts, I think it would be a very different thing.
I'm with you.
But with all due respect, Bob, I got to call you on it. I don't think you love donuts that much, because off the top of my head, I can name 6 places around here that have awesome donuts.
I'm not going to start naming donuts. I'll recommend one to you later.
Same, right back at you.
So, is there any other questions, council? I will.
All I was going to say is they do have a draft motion in their system. If someone wants to make that motion, they can vote yes to approve it or vote no to deny it. But all motions themselves need to be made in the affirmative.
Well, I'll just set it up. I think we've had a good discussion on this. I will make the motion to approve the change to the ordinance.
So the full motion is to adopt an ordinance to amend Section 8 of the Marvin Gardens Individual Conditional District ICD development standards regarding wall signage and find that the proposed text amendments are consistent with the Village of Marvin 2020 land use plan and other officially adopted village plans and is reasonable and in the public interest. Tom has so moved that. Mr. Mayor, you're good to ask for
those
further
in favor?
discussion and move.
All those in favor of this?
Aye.
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 So that's 3. 3 and 3.
Who's opposed? I need to know that for the record, please.
Fred, anybody else?
I can't see all of you at the same time, so I do need you to say it aloud.
Who out there is opposed to this?
Yes, just me.
Okay, so is everyone else an aye?
Yes.
I think everybody has to vote, right? Isn't that how it works?
It can either pop up on your screen or I can click it from my end as I hear you say aye or nay.
Hey, can I just make a comment?
Sure.
Hunter said something about naming specifically this one area, something to, what was it called, Hunter?
So you can, I was going to ask this, and if you're asking if you want to amend the proposed text, just specifically be catered to out parcel 2, that was what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know how that plays. If that's what wants to be discussed, also, do they need to now make a new motion?
Technically, he's not closed voting. Chaplain, what do you say here? I'm going to unmute you.
Well, can I withdraw my motion so we can do it the right way?
You can withdraw your motion, or you can allow an amendment to it.
Okay.
But really, you have a motion on the table, so it should really be voted on or allow an amendment.
Okay. And to allow an amendment, do I do that, or
Yeah.
is one making the motion?
Before we all vote, this is in my backyard. And you will all probably have something that comes up in your backyard that you will feel strongly about and you will plead to us. And in those cases, I will defer to you and the constituents that this affects.
I've got a quick question for the group. And Fred, if everyone knows there's a Dunkin' Donuts coming up Providence Road and they just know it's there, can the owner relocate his sign to the back of the building? Are we more concerned on the positioning of the sign or an incremental sign on that building? First of all,
an additional sign. If they want to move it, go crazy.
Sign.
Yeah, move it, go nuts.
If he really feels he needs a sign there, maybe he moves the existing sign he has. You can see the drive-through as you're coming up Providence Road. I'm not trying to think for the business owner. I am pro-business, but I think there's got to be limits to signs, especially orange ones. I mean, it would have been different if the entire development was coated in a nice, soft shaded, brown or whatever, and it was a natural look and very custom looking. You start throwing a bunch of colors in there, it's not what I like for Marvin personally. That's just my opinion.
Consider a different color palette for that particular location.
Fred addressed that, and Fred, I'll let you speak to it, but it sounds like there may be branding issues with Dunkin' Corporate, changing the color.
Yeah, I'm speculating, probably.
Well, I understand that, but in Hilton Head, South Carolina, all retailers make exceptions down there. You don't see bright signs at Hilton Head, South Carolina, for McDonald's or Burger King or anyone else.
So maybe we'll do that.
I think to some degree, though, those are requirements, that are kind of there when it was built.
Mm-hmm.
I think somebody made the point that Yoga 6 or the other one, if you made Dunkin' just put a black one similar to theirs, if Yoga 6 moves to a larger location and someone comes in, they have the right to put whatever color sign they want there. And I know they're not moving forward, but I think we had some similar conversations when there was a Whataburger proposed for one of those out parcels as well last year. And there were some things that we worked with the developer on creating something that more looks like Marvin, and they were moving in that direction from an architecture standpoint. But I think it's hard to kind of go back and say, well, we just want black signs, but they're the only ones that are being told they have to have
It's
a black
valid point. It's a valid point.
Yeah, and
Chaplain.
Yes.
Sorry. Go ahead, Hunter.
all I was going to say is, once again, like that, what you guys are getting into is like the design of the sign. So the ordinance basically states that like it just needs to be inconsistent with the overall development. But that was up to when at the time of their approval, the design review board, that was part of their conversations and discussion. So ultimately, the other signs were part of that approval already. And so, you're kind of getting into a part of like where then if you're trying to amend it for specific buildings or for the development as a whole, that gets into a greater text amendment for this specific district or for this individual conditional district.
So can we just go back to the amendment about putting just that specific location?
Chaplain, from a process standpoint, is there needs to be a secondary motion to amend that
A
previous
secondary
motion?
yes, a secondary motion to amend, and they will vote to allow that amendment or not. And if it
Okay,
is allowed, there will be one vote with the amendment.
Okay, give me 1 second here to edit that in your system, because I have not actually had to do a secondary motion before. This is the first. So
meeting.
I know we're getting deep in complications here. So to amend the prior motion or the text amendment, the ordinance to
specifically
only apply to out parcel 2.
Correct.
Okay.
So we'll need that motion, and the mayor pro tem may say so moved.
So moved.
All right, and we need to vote on that.
Mm-hmm. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
This is just amending it so that we're going to be voting on whether or not
Correct.
only art parcel 2. So yes, I'm fine with
Okay.
only talking about art parcel 2. Yes, aye.
All right, so that is unanimous. Now the previous motion is now amended. Sorry, I gotta fix this now. So now the new motion, hold on. I somehow added that motion twice. I don't know how I did that. Okay. So now there is a new motion in your system that notes to adopt an ordinance to amend Section 8 of the Marvin Gardens Individual Conditional District ICD development standards regarding wall signage to apply only to out parcel 2, and find that the proposed text amendments are consistent with the Village of Marvin 2020 land use plan and other officially adopted village plans, and is reasonable and in the public interest.
That's correct. So that motion is already before them, because we had the original motion with the first 2 parts, and then we had the amendment to limit the application. So they are ready to vote. So they've already done all they need.
Okay, so you just need to vote now.
Yeah.
All those for?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
You mean nay?
Nay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let me
Motion
fix that in
passes.
your system. I gotta fix that in your system. Just 1 second here to mark you all. All right. I think I did that right. If not, I'll fix it later.
Okay.
And the motion carries.
Yep.
Motion carries. Correct. Thank you.
So Austin, I will get you an updated exhibit with that minor change to the text. And appreciate the discussion and thank you all.
Okay,
So,
great.
Mr. Mayor, you are good to move on to unfinished
Move
business.
on to unfinished business to discuss and consider the adoption of Resolution B to accept and assume maintenance of a portion of NCDOT Road SR 1315 Newtown Road.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was part of the discussion that you all had when you reversed the previous council's direction to adopt a resolution to accept Newtown Road from essentially Waxhaw Marvin roundabout to the state line. This option that's presented before you is the alternate option of essentially from the Waxhaw Marvin roundabout to the Meadowlark roundabout. Just up for discussion, consideration. If you guys wanted to accept this, this is approximately 0.40 miles. I think the consensus is you are not interested in this, but I wanted to at least bring it back to you all for consideration if you were. And that's pretty much the gist.
I mean, we can make this one quick, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Has anybody changed their mind about giving this road back? I haven't changed mine.
Just to be clear, giving the whole thing back, or still considering the piece in between the two roundabouts?
Yeah, good question. So we have already directed DOT that you had rescinded that previous resolution from the Waxhaw Marvin to the state line. This piece that's in front of you is just the smaller portion between the two roundabouts. So it's not the entire portion of Newtown. It's just the small section between the two roundabouts.
Yeah, and I would add the reason why I would be interested in doing that is similar to the same reason, that I was originally for doing it to the state line, isn't really to take over and want to do more maintenance on a well-traveled road. But I thought and still think that as we continue to develop the area around there, it would be advantageous for us as the local municipality, and as we have to approve kind of entrances and egresses, to that little section in between the two roundabouts. I think we could do it with much more care and in concert with the developments that are going in around it, to make it, more cohesive, more safe. And I think we could also institute in that small section some additional safety controls that we've discussed in the past that the state has been reticent to do, which might be lowering the speed limit from 35 to 25, or perhaps making some limits on trucks for local deliveries only, to kind of force them more, large 18-wheelers and stuff, more up 521 and or Providence Road. So that's why I would be in favor of this. Not, I don't know anybody in the roads business that's going to be making money off of that. But I just think having a bit more local control in a critical area of our development as a village is something that would be useful for us.
And I would agree. I would agree with you, John. From the very beginning, I wanted to see control of traffic, and that was when the Heritage District first came up, when I ran 6 years ago, of this idea. My buy-in, my major buy-in, was the fact that anything that slows traffic, and makes it not a place where people would want to, traverse, especially, harking back to, when I go to these small towns in Vermont and Massachusetts, there's crosswalks all over the place, and the people take charge, and, it's not a happy place to drive because you're constantly watching out for pedestrians. And that's what I figured this would be. I only had the one question. we keep 18-wheelers from coming through there, for example, like we were talking about in other roads that we wanted to take over? I'm just asking that in general. Can we restrict the kind of traffic through there, like we were thinking when it was more expanded?
We can. I mean, I think DOT can always come back and override that, but in short, we can restrict, what flows through our roads.
Hmm.
And Chaplain, do you have some commentary on that? Did we lose him?
He's
All right, he
muted.
might be muted. Hold on. This is a one-way thing. If you mute yourself, I gotta let you unmute. Everyone goes through me. All right, there. Chaplain, you should
Yes,
be unmuted now.
thank you. First, DOT can take back over roads. It's rare, but if they believe it's important for interstate commerce, for transportation, they can take them back over. Second, there are some regulations. I do believe we can have limitations, but there are also some state regulations on tractor trailer trucks. So we would have to look in to make sure we're not preempted by those state statutes because they limit the way you can limit control on certain designated roads within certain distances of major thoroughfares. So it's not completely open, but I do believe you'll be able to regulate. Also set the speed limits
You
and other
can, you
matters.
can, yeah, you can also permit driveway permits as well. So like if and when properties develop, you would have that ability to look at those driveway permits and um, make recommendations or approvals on that as well.
I disagree with you guys. I think, do we want to be the town that has the 25 coming off of 45 and there's like the police officer there and like they get you when you go through town to enforce the speed limit? I don't know. I kind of get the vision, but I feel like we're trying to square peg round hole, and create like a downtown in a place that there really kind of wasn't one that grew organically. And I think it's an uphill battle there. And it's, when you have it organically, like a downtown wax hall, right? Like everything kind of grows around it and it makes sense. And like our commercial is on Providence and Ray. And this is like a sleepy road. It seems weird. And I think we should really, really, really consider getting out of the road business because, as I've spoken with all of you, we're probably looking at like a 30% tax increase if we want to stay in the road business. And I think that's insane. And I think, people want lower taxes and they also want roads. I don't think they understand how expensive roads are.
Yeah, and Fred, I agree that roads are expensive. And I, as was, well, I don't think we should be taking on any more roads until we figure out how we're going to pay for the existing ones. And, based on the conversations we had in a couple of meetings, it sounds like we're not there yet. So, and to your point, Councilmember Ilaraza, we need, it's going to be, it's expensive and it's going to get more expensive. So if not, no, I don't think at this point we should be taking on any more responsibilities.
I agree.
I
I think we need to
agree.
find a way to pay for the roundabouts and deal with the roads that we have and figure out how to move forward with the roads before we take on anything new, and especially something that's on a busy thoroughfare.
So I guess the question is, because this is kind of the other side of this same vote, are we comfortable with NCDOT making a lot of those decisions about the speed limit and the driveway ingress and egresses of those places that are in the midst of development versus us having that control? That was my primary thought, was that I think it's better. It's a small price to pay for that small section of road to be able to have that control versus NCDOT. But certainly I respect the majority's opinion.
I think we can revisit it maybe at some point. because I see benefit to, being able to control, the egress, ingress. I mean, I get that, but I think we have to figure out how we're going to do what we need to do first before we take on anything new.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's a lot of things that are converging here. One is the expense of just taking over primary roads, even if it's 0.4 of a mile. Number two, we don't know how across the roundabout, across the street on the Fincher property, how that will be developed in the future and how that will impact travel and, traffic. The Heritage District, the Zepsa thing is moving at a snail's pace right now, and to make plans for that, to enhance that road for the Heritage District when things are moving really slow there, I think it's a wait and see. I mean, we also don't want to send a signal to the DOT that we're all in for, taking on major thoroughfares through Marvin. And this kind of gives a hint that we're interested in it, even if it's for our own expediency. I'm very cautious about taking over stuff like this. I mean, it's bad enough that we have to, talk about doing, the DOT's job in neighborhoods to at least give people that live in Marvin and pay Marvin taxes something that's substantial for their tax dollars. That's the only reason why that's been entertained. It's because DOT's just ignored us. But I think taking on that stretch of Newtown is not a doable thing. I don't think it's a smart thing. And I think if we need to control speed there, we ask the deputies and the churches to see if they'll let the deputies sit, occasionally in a parking lot, do paperwork there instead of in the Village Hall parking lot or at the school or wherever at certain times of day to kind of control speed there. I think we ask our deputies to move around a little bit to control speed. That's my 2 cents.
I understand John's points, but I tend to agree with Angel in that, we're getting ready to come up on budget season, and I think we've got to learn how we can digest what we have and better understand costs moving forward with roads that we currently have, so that we can make a better decision as to, do we want another 0.4 miles on Newtown Road? When I'm not really sure if the calculations for the road expenses shown to us are accurate. I would tend to think they're probably low. Don't know. But I'd like to go through that learning process first before taking on more responsibility. That's where I'm at.
Okay, I think we've got a consensus. So unless y'all have further discussion, I mean, I know you're not all on the same board, but it sounds like everyone is of the consensus to the majority, I should say, to not entertain this. Okay, so we can move on to the next item unless anyone wants to further discuss.
No, we could move. You want me to move on to K3?
Yep.
Review of the fiscal year 27 through 2031 capital improvement plan CIP with revisions from the.
Hold on.
There's
K2.
Miss
K2.
K2.
Okay. Consider adoption of the ordinance rescinding the ordinance OR 2025 Newtown Road Capital Reserve Fund.
So this is just a formality. When the ordinance was created to adopt this section of road, we created a subsequent capital reserve to start setting aside money for this. We didn't actually put anything in the account, but we're going to rescind that capital reserve ordinance to basically undo the process for putting money aside for this. So we're just asking for you all to make that motion to undo that.
So to adopt the ordinance rescinding ordinance 2025-10-05 as presented.
So moved.
All those for?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Who's the two nays there? I know John and
Bob.
Bob Markleese. Okay. Mark everyone down here. All right. So 4-2. Okay, we're good.
All right, ready to move on to K3, review of the fiscal year 2027 through 2031 capital improvement plan, CIP, with revisions from the retreat.
So this is the capital improvement plan that we presented to you all at your retreat. Again, for those listening at home, this is the capital improvement plan for the next several years. It is not a budget; it's just a planning document that we use to help us to prepare for the upcoming budget. This is something that we do and review annually. And we did make the changes in fiscal year 26, 27 that you all saw and recommended at the retreat discussions. We're not asking for any approval tonight or really any major discussion tonight. We just wanted to present it to you all and make sure that we encompass everything that you had suggested. And if there's any other questions or concerns that you want us to bring back before we ask you to adopt it, we'll be more than glad to do so. We are planning to bring it back at the work session for adoption, so that we can, use that to plan for the upcoming budget. Are there any questions or concerns? The only one thing I wanted to mention, Mayor Pro Tem Martin, you had asked about getting quotes for the Marvin Eford Park electric upgrade. We will likely have that portion changed by the time we present this to you all for next year or for at the next work session. I did get a quote from a vendor to set up the meter. We could probably do this in phases. So next year we'd be looking at less than $10,000, and then we would just put into fiscal year 27, 28 the installation of some type of heating source at the maintenance facility. And we would just put that into the subsequent year budget.
Jill's wanting to speak here. I'm unmuting her. Go ahead.
I'll wait till Christina's done.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Just in the interest of transparency, I wanted to point out to you guys that there is one new addition to the CIP for you to consider. And if you have questions, we can. But it is that trail that the Heritage neighborhood, the natural trail that they brought that concern to Coffee with Council. We did create, we didn't have a sheet for it in the CIP. So after that conversation, Hunter thought it was prudent to add one. So we did add it under Greenways and Trails, and it's in there for your review, but it's just an addition since the retreat.
And Jill, that's the 33,600 for the Heritage / Meadowlark Natural Path.
Yeah, we padded it slightly because the 28,000 that we received as fee in lieu, I mean, it's been about 2 years since we've put any new trails in. So just to be cautious, we padded it about 20% just in case the prices have gone up, but we haven't even gotten a quote for that or anything on it yet. So that's just really a placeholder. But we've already received 28,000 in fee in lieu for that.
Of an estimated 33.6, is that right?
With that,
Or
that
that's
includes a
padding,
20%
with the padding?
contingency. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions or concerns or anything that you all wanted to discuss in detail?
I
Okay.
think we
Or
went over this pretty
any more
well.
revisions, if I have that Heritage Trail slated for 26 to 27. So if you are good with that, we would try to include it. If you wanted me to push it off to a different year, I can, since this is the first time you're seeing it. But
I would prefer pushing it off a year.
okay. Anyone else have thoughts on it? You
Remind
as well,
me,
Joe?
remind me
Yes.
what Saddle Avenue at Newtown is. What is that?
That's the basically the loop that Hunter is working on right now. That would be this kind of second phase to it. I think that's going to have to change slightly based on the modifications that we did to that CRTPO grant to exclude to basically stop at the ZEPSA location. So it would kind of extend. We'd probably have to add another phase to it, but that essentially that was to finish the loop.
I thought when I read through the materials, I thought that was to extend it from Flowering Peach around to
Zepsa.
the Village Hall. Yeah, Zepsa property.
Yeah,
I didn't think it
so
would
did I.
involve South.
That is correct.
Okay.
Just a clarification. So that S1A Saddle Avenue is what basically is the CRTPO grant. So that is basically the funding, what was originally funded. Obviously the scope has changed. So now there's a remaining portion from like the Zepsa property to Saddle. The reason it's still classified as that is because that is how it's classified in our master plan.
But
But
we're
that's
probably
not
gonna have
really-
to change that and break it out even more though, Hunter, now that there's changes to the scope.
Yeah, because that's not really what it is now, right? Because when I saw Saddle, I was like, that doesn't look right because we're not going there. So
I mean, yeah, we can just reclassify it. Like I said, that was just the title we've always used because that's what the master plan states.
okay. Okay, thank you.
It's really quick. When John and I met with these people that are residents, the thing that stood out, I think, to John and I both is because of the size of the lots, which are very small relative to most lots around them, the amount of cars and driveways. They brought up the safety issue. There's a large portion of people over there that like to walk, and frankly, they don't have any place to walk. And I'd hate to see us push this down the road too much. I think it's something that we really need to look at and help that community out and give them a safe place to walk and run, which they do not have currently. So I'd just like people's consideration on that.
I totally get that. And I think there's an opportunity for us to do better. I think when these neighborhoods come in the kind of planning and development and zoning phase, and I've talked to Hunter about this. Like I love the cluster, right? Where you have maybe houses that are closer together, maybe you have smaller lots, but you have this huge area that doesn't get clear cut, and they all get one whatever share in that. And there's room for the developer to put trails and to put some green space, and maybe that community wants to be connected to something else, and maybe they don't. But I think there's opportunity for us to carve that out for the potential buyers with the developer as we're going through these things. And I think when we let a development go in that doesn't have any space for that, I think it's great to be the developer in that case, because then it falls to us to be the trail maker and the green space provider. But I think one of the cool things about Marvin is in a lot of these places, we do have that. And maybe there's a better potential or a better opportunity for us to protect that for future neighborhoods.
Okay, well, we're not asking for any approval tonight. We can discuss that further at the work session when we present this to you all again for final approval. So unless y'all have further questions or concerns on what you see in front of you, you will see this again.
So we
and
can
we can
talk about it at the work session.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
So
yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Christine.
No, I was going to say, that being said, you can move on to
New business.
the next. Yes.
All right. New business, anything? Nothing. So we move on to M, open topics. Is a review of action items part is a subtext of open topics, or we just move on
No,
to topics?
We can move on to review of action items.
Okay.
All right, so going back through, you guys will have the CIP at the work session for adoption. You have repealed the Newtown Road Capital Reserve Fund, not moved for the Newtown Road. Back through. Don't have a lot. I know we have stuff in Public Works here. We're going to move forward with the purchase of the Skag and the dump trailer. We're going to, Christina, I didn't get the action. Did they decide on the plow?
No, I'm going to do some more research and get a quote on the F-350 and a more formal quote on the mule and bring it back to them for consideration.
Other than that, Christine, you were also going to get maintenance costs for the scarifier maintenance
Yep.
to replace the teeth.
Yes.
And Hunter's going to have small group meetings with you all for the pending rezoning applications. And you all will let him know if you plan to attend the meeting with Keith O'Haron. If you keep that within just three of y'all, I don't have to do a quorum notice for that.
And then also on the law enforcement deputy reports, looking into expanding it to a greater Marvin proper.
Yep. And that is it. You guys will see the civility resolution signing ceremony at your next meeting, as well as the Union County presentation. That should be all.
Great, thank you. Review of ongoing action items list.
Yeah, and I'll mention to you all as you're looking at this action item list, there's several things on here that I think there's a shift in philosophy, so you might want to consider removing some of these priorities if they're no longer a priority of you all. I tried to provide some commentary in the update section so that it would give you some guidance as to what you could potentially remove if you wanted to. So I really try to provide as much update as I can in that far right column. We just need direction from you all if you want to remove it. I generally don't remove things from here unless directed.
I do want to thank you, Christina, for putting that together. It was helpful. I did have a chance to review it earlier today, but I don't know if everyone's had a chance to review it yet. But certainly, I think it's important to kind of keep these things, keep some sort of list like this, and certainly the new council, will eventually have their impact and tailor it to what their needs are. But I think it was very helpful in certain items that necessarily take a longer amount of time just to keep them on the radar and have these kind of general updates from time to time. So I would just say to the rest of council, take a look at them item by item. If there are ones that we feel we don't need to continue to focus on, that's one thing, but it is a good tool to kind of help us to not have things just kind of drop into the ether.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of defer to a member of council if they want to remove any of these. I mean, unless y'all want me to go line by line and we can talk through them.
Why don't we have some time to go over all these things? We can ask questions and then we can look at them again in the work session.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, Austin, do you generally put these on the work session?
It's always at the end of the meeting, so
Okay.
it's at the end of every meeting, so they can pull it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick question: where did we park the proposal to contribute to this safety thing in Marvin for pedestrians? The I don't know, the $17,000 or $18,000. That's
you're talking about Safe Streets for All. You guys tabled that to your either March regular or March work session for further discussion.
okay. Do we want to move that up to the February work session, or?
So can I say something here?
Sure, go ahead.
So Mayor, I actually spoke with CRTPO today, and so CRTPO for the region has received the same award, or obviously a higher amount, but basically do a safety action plan for the region as a whole. As you guys had your conversation here in your previous meeting, I reached out to them to see, if we could potentially be under their umbrella, how, what that would look like, just in case, if you guys decided to potentially not move forward with the funding we received. I do have them tentatively coming to your February meeting to kind of do a high level presentation, but it is an option where we can still kind of get the benefit of recommending some of these safety improvements, maybe some low hanging fruit if it's pedestrian crossings or some signaled interchanges, certain things like that, as part of their region wide plan. The only difference would be we'd be able to go more in depth of certain areas. But that is an option that's on the table that I do have planned for your February work session at the current moment.
Great. So I propose we do a wait and see from that presentation, and if we know off the top of our heads in our own experiences that there's gaps in that, then maybe we move on to potentially funding that study, being that we can get it at a significant discount to what the state is actually charging. But we'll leave that open to the council.
Yeah, I agree. Jeff.
Agree.
Thank you.
Agree.
Okay. All right, moving on to, let's see here. Council comments?
I'll start off. I just wanted to not only and most importantly thank the staff for what you do to support us. You did a great job with the retreat, but Austin especially being able to put this together. You never cease to amaze me how you put stuff like this. And this was a tricky one, going from one room to another. Thank you very much for the effort and your expertise doing that.
Much appreciated.
All right. I just, excuse me, just wanted to add the great job that I saw the staff doing over the past couple of days, being able to run into Matt and his team, actually getting some of the work done out on the roads, at times that we really needed it. But also wanted to say thank you to all of the new council members. I know there's been a lot of significant time involved in many of you kind of getting engaged and getting up to speed. But I did want to say thank you to all of you, because you've also been very liberal if I reach out to you individually to try to understand more about a particular position or topic that we have coming up. Everybody's been very, very giving of their time and stuff, and I just want to say that's very much appreciated.
I'll go next. Yeah, I want to thank everybody, the council members, for being, civil in these proceedings and in one-on-one conversations that John's talking about. It's been great. It is definitely time-consuming. John, you were talking to me when I was in Fort Lee, New Jersey, and people were driving like idiots. I had a human event there out loud.
I heard the Jersey come out in a minute.
It's crazy, man. But I want to thank all of you. You guys have made yourselves available to talk and have really candid conversations. And there's been disagreement, which I respect. And so thanks for that. Second thing, the last week and a half where the weather's been crazy. And I think Christina especially has done just an exceptional job of her communications with emergency management in the county, and with staff and with council, and getting, emergency notifications out in time. And Austin plays a part in that too. So I want to thank staff, especially for how they've handled all of this inclement weather, and just the daily things that you guys do. I'm still very excited about this year. We have a lot on our plate. I think we want to be very scrupulous on how we spend money in the village. We really want to stretch our dollar. I know we were squeezing blood out of a penny over a couple grand on a mower, but expect more of that. We're going to vet these things out. We're not just going to rubber stamp stuff. And those of you watching, I want you to know we are going to scrutinize spend. And Christina, she understands it. She's a good sport about it. She puts up with my nagging questions on certain things because inquiring minds want to know. And Jill as well. This reaches Jill because Jill is managing money here. So I appreciate everyone's understanding. Bear with us, but we are making progress. And I want to thank everybody for it and all of our residents as well. So,
and I would just like to add huge thank you to the staff because we are working y'all so hard. And it hasn't even been 60 days that we've been in office with this new council, and we have quite a learning curve, and we are working really hard to get up to speed on lots of different things, but we appreciate how hard the staff is working and how hard each of us is working, and the patience of the village to give us time to get acclimated to these roles and hopefully serve you well. So thank you to everybody.
I'd like to thank all the members of the public that came out to speak with respect to the ordinance and submitted comments on the signage ordinance that we discussed. Definitely appreciate the feedback and the input. And while the vote didn't come down the way I think you were hoping, please know that your comments were heard and appreciated, at least by this council member.
So I want to thank the staff. I think they've done an amazing job in this inclement weather we've had over the last 2 weekends. Also, thank you. As Angel said, we've been working you guys pretty hard, and you're also short-staffed, which kind of makes it worse. But all of you have just been like pretty superhuman in my book at how you've handled everything, and it's pretty amazing. And to the mayor's point, yeah, like, saving $100,000 off of budget isn't $100,000 thing you find and cut, right? It's done like $1,000 at a time, right? It's aggregate. So definitely be more of that. But thank you to everyone who came out and had something to say tonight or just watched the proceeding.
I'll just say ditto and no further comment.
I know who we didn't hear from, Mr. Markleese up in Connecticut. Are you up in Connecticut?
No, I've been
not.
trying
You're
to
here.
leave for a week and a half.
Oh, okay. Gosh, I thought you were up in the Northeast on the slopes.
No,
Okay.
no. I'll let you know when I get there.
Anything you want to say?
Oh, I thought I just said that.
Oh, you spoke
first.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right.
We're good. My bad. Okay, we've gone around the horn. Thank you. I guess we can put a motion on the table to basically adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
8:41.
All those opposed, or all those for?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Thank you. Have a great night. We'll see you all soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Joe.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Austin, Christina, staff.